how do I find good wife stock? This guy could be married to this chick for 5 years. Both those kids may not be genetically his. It doesn't matter that she took on the seed of another man. And in most cases, judges will award it to mom, regardless of whether or not she stepped out. And he'll have to pay for the bills of children that aren't even biologically his. Because the entire world basically said things like, happy wife, happy life, blah, blah, blah. I had a guy on Monday night. He called in on the Chopping It Up. I was there with Moff, and he was, his question was, not how do I find good wife stock into perpetuity? How do I have a long-term relationship with a woman and raise a family and stuff? It was limited to how do I get married for 10 years, right? Wanted to have kids and get married for 10 years. And it sounded like with the anticipation that she was probably going to untie the knot, which 80% of the time women still do. It's even higher when women are college educated, university educated. It goes even higher when women start to make more money. They start a new job. And that was one of the catalysts here in the equation was this chick had got a new job in the last year, new coworkers, obviously became friends with a lot of coworkers, became very honest and open with them and started having conversations along. Well, one of our, for her to say this to her husband is retarded, but she said something along the lines of, maybe that's how you stay married for a long time is have side pieces, like my coworker does. So it sounds to me like she's already probably cheating. The kids may not be his. Maybe one of them is his, the other isn't. I don't know. But there's a lot of steps that need to happen now to like this is a train wreck unfolding in slow motion. The vast majority of guys that experience this, it just gets worse and worse and worse and worse and worse for them to the point where a lot of them will consider self-deletion as a remedy to the complexities in their life, which is an unfortunate consequence of making these bad choices because the entire world, Hollywood, culture, society, religion, their upbringing, everything they've consumed, the music, the advertising, basically said things like happy wife, happy life, become less so she can become more, blah, blah, blah. I'm a bad person. I'm taking ownership for looking at her phone. I'm a bad person for, becoming depressed. You're just a plugged in beta. You're like bad things can happen to good people, but you're a plugged in beta. And you get married to a woman that didn't see you as her best option. That's the other thing too that I didn't highlight enough here. A lot of guys will just get married to the wrong woman. And when I say wrong, it's usually a chick that doesn't see them as their best option. It's as simple as that. Hypergamy is hardwired into all women's DNA. Doesn't matter if they're 15 or 50, 105, women are hypergamous at every stage of life. Slightly different. They have different priorities, but what they want is the best guy that they can get. And she didn't get that with this guy. She's been married to him for 5 years, had 2 kids with him, created a family, probably bought a house, got a mortgage, decorated it, took some family vacations, went over to her family's place for Thanksgiving, his family's place for the holidays and Christmas or whatever. And, went through all the motions, which all guys will. Intimacy declines, drops off almost completely. She starts a new job, makes some new friends, sees that some of her friends are stepping out and have side pieces, whether they're men or women, we don't know. He doesn't define that in the message. But either way, she doesn't see him as a viable, good option. She sees him as a nerd. She disparages him to her friends, constantly berates him, the butt of all jokes, while bigging up, Chad and Tyrone from her past. What are you going to do? You got to get out of that. That is a no-win situation. The only thing that you can do is plan to untie the knot so that you minimize the damage. Make sure the kids are yours. So you either fight for custody or you don't. You just say like, these kids aren't mine, so I'm done. You deal with it. Let Chad and Tyrone, pay the bills. The problem is if you've been acting like the father to children that aren't yours, here's where family law gets really complex and unfair to guys. This guy could be married to this chick for 5 years. Both those kids may not be genetically his. Okay. Biologically, they may be other guys' children. But because he behaved and acted in the way that a father would act, paying the bills, feeding them, clothing them, taking them on family vacations, then her lawyer is going to argue. Now, the other guy may want to take responsibility. Generally speaking, they're not, right? But what her lawyer will probably do is be, okay, well, what's our best opportunity to extract resources to take care of child support? He'll figure it out. It'll probably be this plugged in beta male. And then he'll argue to the court, well, he may not be the father, Your Honor, but because he behaved in a way that a father would behave for the last 5 years, and those children see him as a father, they call him dad. It doesn't matter that she stepped out. It doesn't matter that she took on the seed of another man. None of that matters. We got to do what's in the best interest of the children. So mom needs child support from dad because she's taking custody. And in most cases, judges will award it to mom, regardless of whether or not she stepped out. And he'll have to pay for the bills of children that aren't even biologically his. He'll lose half his wealth. He'll end up paying for kids that aren't his, or maybe one of them, who knows. And that'll go on for quite a few years because the kids are small. They've only been married for 5 years, so it sounds like they're pretty small. So it could go on for a good, 15 to 20 more years of his life, depending on their age. And that's that. And then it's another notch in the corrupt family court system. It's another notch in her belt, and she doesn't care. There's no consequences. There's absolutely no consequences for her disparaging him, not loving him, even though he did all the right things. All right, guys, I really hope that you enjoyed that clip. If you want to check out the full-length podcast episode, you can find that right over here. Also, make sure you visit my website over here where you'll find my supplements, the opportunity to book me privately one-on-one for coaching, and most importantly, my new School of Unplugging, which you'll find on the courses tab. Newer to the channel, hit subscribe.